Welcome to Your Legacy Radio. My name is Scott Tansill. I'm the host of the show today, and the sole sponsor of Your Legacy Radio is Riverwell Solutions. Riverwell Solutions is an organization that helps individuals who are affected by a terminal illness in identifying assets within their life that they can turn into funds that they desperately need for many, many different reasons, be it medical bills, be it to live life, be it to take a trip, be it for some kind of special medical treatment that they might want to have that they could not otherwise have if they did not have the funds available to them to create this. So it's a wealth of information, Riverwell Solutions. You can contact them directly at 866-500-2922. That's 866-500-2922. We're going to cover a lot of different things throughout the show today. I've got Katie Bowling on the show with me. Katie, welcome back to Your Legacy Radio.
Hi, Scott. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you on the show, and we're going to cover a lot of different topics today. The thing I want to start with, being that it is Life Insurance or Insurance Awareness Month, and you work with a lot of individuals through the organization of Riverwell Solutions and helping them identify assets. And one of the things that you work with them a lot on is helping them identify a living resource benefit through the sale of their life insurance policy. I'm sure you receive a lot of different questions, so I wanted to have you back on the show and just say, okay, what are some of the questions that you're receiving? Because I'm sure it would help the listening audience in understanding the answers to these questions just like it would your clients. So what are some of the questions you're receiving surrounding the thought process of Insurance Awareness Month?
One of the biggest questions I think that I come into contact with are, well, I have a term policy. How good is that to me? You know, now it's going to expire in a couple years. What can I do with it? Right.
And, you know, I see that come across a lot, especially if someone is affected by a terminal illness, because what they'll see is, okay, I've got a terminal illness, be it Lou Gehrig's disease, be it Alzheimer's, be it dementia, be it cancer. One, I need the money now. This term policy is great, but I need the money now. Two, I'm very close to my term running out. What if I live past my term and then I've got nothing, right? Or my family has nothing if something was to happen to me. So there's multiple things that can be done. Many times when I talk to an individual and they have a term life policy, if they're affected by a terminal illness, they do not realize that that term policy has value to them as they are at that point, okay? And it has extreme value. If they wanted to use that policy to create what's called a living resource benefit, they could definitely do that, receive funds for that policy and creating that transaction. The other thing that they need to be aware of is if they have a term policy and it's getting ready to expire, you can always roll that into a whole life policy. In most cases, I won't say always, but in every case with a term policy, there's a clause within the policy outline that would say, yes, you can roll this into a longer term, a whole life policy. The premiums would adjust, but it would still be there for your family to protect them. So term policies definitely have value. The biggest reason why individuals would use a term policy is to have a lower premium, but understanding the value within the policy, even up to and past the actual term of the policy, is important. So that's a great question.
Okay, so another question that I seem to get quite frequently, and people are stunned by the answer, and Scott, I know you can go a lot into this, is I'm about to leave my company. I've worked there for 20 years. Mm-hmm. I've always had my life insurance through them, but I'm about to leave, and so now what do I do?
So if someone knows that they have a group life policy with their company, that alone is a positive, because most individuals have a group life policy with their organization that they work for, and they are not even aware that it's there. So understanding that you do or you do not have a policy with your company. I mean, there's 40% of everyone within the United States does not even have life insurance. So it's something that really everyone should have. And I think if you went back to that 40% that say they do not have life insurance policies, and you said, well, do you have a group life insurance policy at your work? And they went back and looked, they possibly could have that wrapped into the health insurance. So with a group life insurance policy, if someone is leaving their career, they're retiring, they're going to, or they're sick. You know, if someone becomes ill, someone gets Lou Gehrig's disease or ALS, ALS is Lou Gehrig's disease, but Alzheimer's, dementia, memory loss in that category, or cancer, and they have to leave their place of work and they have a group life policy, you want to work with someone who understands how to do this because it has to be done properly, but there is a way to unattach that policy from the group form, put it into an individual form, and carry that life insurance policy with you. If it is a short-term policy, you can extend that term. And the other thing about that is sometimes I have individuals ask, what would they look at as far as, okay, now I'm sick. Would they still let me take this policy with me even though I'm sick? They will, and they will not ask questions as to your health at that point in time. So, a prime example of using that policy for an immense benefit was or would be if someone developed a terminal disease and they found out or they knew they had a group life policy, and then and most often, in most cases, they haven't paid anything in on that policy. The company's been paying for that policy for them. What they can do is they can use that policy to create a living resource benefit, essentially selling that policy, using the funds from that policy that were really just given to them because the company had been paying for the policy to begin with. They could use the funds for that policy then to do the things in life that they want to do while they still can. So, there's a lot of different things they can do with that. But the first thing you want to do is realize that you have one. And if you're not sure, figure that out with the organization that you work with because there's extreme value there for sure. What's something else?
Let's see. Another question that comes up during the life insurance conversation is, my wife took care of all of that. I don't know where they are. Or my son took care of that. I have no updated information. I don't know, how to get that information. What do I do?
And that's typically, you get that question, you get that comment, you get that concern. But the reality is if you're sitting in that conversation, that's what you do as a living resource specialist is to help them identify where those things are. Now, the easier thing to happen, and the reason this happens within individuals' lives is that no one really wants to prepare or think about the end of life. I've said it before on the show, no one is ever going to beat that. There's only one individual that ever beat that, ever, in the history of this world, has ever beat death. And it's going to happen. If it happens tomorrow, if it happens 10 years from now, if it happens 50 years from now, it's going to happen. So, as you get into an age of really 20 and above, you need to have things in life as far as preparation for when that day comes. And you need to have the individuals within your support group, within your life, within your surroundings, understand where those things are that would say what it is you want done with the finances you've accumulated over life, what it is you want done with the assets that you've accumulated over life, what it is you want done with the children that you've accumulated or you've had during this life. You want to make those decisions because everyone in life makes decisions all of their life as to how they want their life to be. The last thing an individual would want to happen or want to have happen, and the last thing your family wants to have happen, is for them to have to step in and make decisions for you as to how to manage the things in your life that you've accumulated. I don't know of many families, if any, maybe there's some out there, that would want to really make those decisions, but they're going to be thinking about you not being here, you never being seen on this earth again. They're going to be thinking about a lot of other scenarios and other things that they need to focus on and that are very stressful. To me, the last thing that I would want my family to focus on, and any client that I ever work with or Katie ever works with, and their families to have to focus on, is what did they want to have happen with this account? What did they want to have happen with the child's college fund account? Where did they want the kids to go to college? Who did they want the kids to be taken care of after they were gone? Even before that, while they're still here, but maybe they're incapacitated, they can't make decisions for themselves. What medical treatment is it that they wanted, and what medical treatment treatment is it that they did not want? All of these things can be put into wills. They can be put into living wills. They can be set up as easy as far as money transfer into a trust, where all the money transfers into a trust scenario, and then you would allocate where that money would go within the trust scenario, and it would be pointed in the direction that you said, that you made the decision of, as to how you want it allocated, even after something was to happen to you. So, I said a lot, and I probably went right over the head of a lot of the listeners, either on News Talk 1110 WBT or online. But the thing that the organization who is the sole sponsor of this show does really, really well is to help you simplify all of the things and more that I didn't go into down, put it into a plan, and then put that plan into action. So we'll talk a lot more about that scenario, because I got some other things I want to add into that topic in the next segment. We'll be right back with Your Legacy Radio right here on News Talk 1110 WBT and on WBT.com.